Before I start, I just wanted to say thank you to everybody who has helped me out with gathering information concerning AT&T. I've also got a classmate in the summer class that I'm taking who has an iPhone, and I spoke to them and they said that coverage was excellent, that they got it everywhere, and that they couldn't see living without a SIM card, because when I explained that Verizon didn't use SIM cards because of their CDMA technology, they were in shock. And I can definitely see why. Keep the information coming. I am not going to pull down those videos just yet. I'm going to give it more time. But thank you so far to everybody who has commented. Now, speaking of comments, I'd like to get into today's video. Now, the script I'm about to read is going to be posted verbatim, including the link that I'm going to give. That will explain this. That will show you proof of one of the points in here. Excuse me. Essentially, WiiGamePlayer had a comment made on the previous video entitled iPhone on Verizon, I doubt it. Essentially what he said was that iPhone will be able to, or excuse me, he or she, don't want to be gender biased, iPhone will be able to be used with Verizon, and Verizon is way better than AT&T. I respond to you with this. Now, you probably have already read your comments, but I would like to make this known for everybody else. Those CDMA rumors have not been proven true or false. Now, I did some editing a little bit in this comment, since you may have read it, so what I said that they haven't been proven to be true, but what I basically, I edited this to say true or false. So, they haven't been proven true or false. The LTE standard will utilize a SIM card, which is going to be far more practical for the iPhone, since it already is using one under GSM. The trouble is, the total coverage on Verizon's LTE network won't be complete until 2014, with initial rollout starting in 2010, 2011. Now, they're saying they should have it in 30 cities by sometime next year. We'll have to see. It's a complete mystery at this point. To continue, LTE, which is an advancement of GSM UMTS, will be ready in, and as I said, 30 cities by sometime next year, and this is, or so what Verizon are saying. The full rollout will take a few years to complete, it will take a few more years, because they need to do it slowly, or else the whole network will collapse. If Verizon goes to LTE and others follow, I'm pretty sure the iPhone will open up, since Verizon and AT&T both will use SIM cards, because again, LTE is not a CDMA advancement, it is a GSM one. And it'll be a lot easier to switch providers, and also Apple, I think that if the world adopts LTE, Apple will definitely follow suit with the iPhone, because they want to have something that works all around the world. Just like their Macs, they work all around the world. Anyway, Apple went with GSM because it's the world standard. CDMA is really only here in the United States, in America in general, and in some parts of Asia, which is not really very much compared to, in terms of coverage, compared to the rest of the market. Figures have shown that 90% of the world is using GSM. At least that's what I got out of this link that's in the script. Now, maybe I've interpreted this wrong, but the bulk of that graph was taken up by the GSM color, which was red, and a very small percentage was taken up by CDMA, and even smaller was taken up by even lesser technologies. But the bulk of it, I think maybe the exact percentage was off, but, so it may not be 90, it may be like 80 or 85, but it definitely did show that GSM is much more prevalent in the rest of the world than CDMA. It wasn't until Vodafone, Verizon's other half in the UK, who owns roughly a fourth to a half of the company, really clamped down on Verizon to become more open. Only then has this been decided, and it is in contrast to what Verizon has, or used to say, which was that they want everything to be closed up. And they never took on the iPhone in 2007 because they could not keep it closed like they wanted to. They couldn't take control of it. So will the iPhone run on Verizon? Yes. When? Probably in a few more years, probably 3 or 4. If Apple actually builds a CDMA iPhone, I will scream. Yes, phone manufacturers build 2 versions of their phones, but usually CDMA's variant will arrive in 6 months to possibly a year afterwards, and not 3 years. What's more, Verizon is usually the last carrier to adopt any phone, as it has to go through their Verizon acquisition process, as I call it. In other words, all individuality that would otherwise exist on other carriers of that phone is stripped to make way for Verizon's one-size-fits-all interface. There's also a rumor that Apple is working with AT&T to extend their exclusivity on the iPhone, possibly for several more years. And I'm not at all surprised about this, since from what I've read, it seems Apple's iPhone is one of the few things keeping AT&T rolling. The other ones, in my opinion, are convenience of GSM technology, i.e. switching phones by simply removing a memory card, that would be your SIM card, from one phone and putting it into another, and having the ability to back up said memory card, your SIM card again, on the computer. Another advantage would be the rollover minutes, and from what I've heard, the metropolitan coverage, as well as coverage in some rural areas. My cousin, again, this is a recap, I've actually stated this in a previous video, but I'll say it again. My cousin has gotten full signal on our vacation spot, which is located almost in the middle of nowhere, versus my Verizon Voyager, which got nowhere above 3 bars. So, again, will the iPhone run on Verizon? Yes. When? We'll have to wait. I'm almost sure that if it does, it'll be after a full contract cycle with AT&T if I switch. But on the upside, let's look at it this way. If I do go with AT&T, and I get the iPhone, and in a couple years Verizon goes with the GSM-based LTE standard, and Apple decides that standard, since it's going to take over, and Verizon's not the only one to adopt this. A lot of carriers in Europe have already done so, or are definitely doing so at least. Verizon will be doing this. AT&T and T-Mobile will be doing this. Sprint was not mentioned, which is making me curious. But, see, if 3 of the 4 major carriers adopt the LTE GSM-based standard, and Apple sees this, along with the rest of the world adopting LTE, which again I think is very, very likely to happen, they will open the iPhone up through a software upgrade, and it would be very similar to what people are doing in terms of unlocking their phones, in terms of voiding their warranty, only this time Apple would actually have that already done for you when you get your phone. But the idea would be that you could go ahead and buy the iPhone and put it on any network you want legally this time around, should that choose to happen. And I think it will. We'll just have to wait a couple years. But I don't know if I want to do that. I've been in the market for a smartphone now since 2006, and I've been waiting and waiting, keeping a very close eye on the iPhone, in fact. And what won me over was the fact that it now has a screen reader on board out of the box. I mean, if I lose my sight, I'll be able to control it without any issues. I'll just need to get somebody sighted to activate the screen reader, and that's all there is to it. I can have complete control of my iPhone back. But, yeah, that's the story. Thank you for your comment, WiiGamePlayer. Thank you for watching, everyone. Comments are welcome. Insults will get you blocked. And have a nice evening.